before we kill the dragon, let's talk a little bit about Bleak Falls Barrow. I think it's so funny. Again, just like the original quest, it's just so funny how many times we do that Bleak Falls Barrow quest. You know, like, everybody does it right in the beginning, and they tend to do it before they even get the, before they even get the request from the Jarl, or get the request from the person in Riverwood, right? But it is I don't know, I think it's a necessary quest. It's kind of odd. I mean, he says he needs the dragon stone to help with the dragons, but you also have to get that golden claw back for the trader in Riverwood. And so it's kind of interesting how there are two different ways it gets you there. So the game, like, definitely wants you to go there. And I think I understand why, because right in the beginning, you get all your gear in the first quest, you choose your faction, which we talked about in the last video, that was really important. And then, once you choose your faction, you know, now you're in the game, you go to Riverwood, you've understood now how to, like, loot, and how to maybe switch weapons and put armor on. You know, you've done all that in the initial quest, you've learned some lore, you know, about why the Civil War's happening, you learn about the Band of the Worship of Talos and everything else. But you don't really get into, like, the dungeon crawling part of Skyrim, which is why a lot of people play, I think. I think a lot of people probably play simply because of that dungeon crawling aspect of the game. And so, the Bleak Falls Barrow quest gives you a sense of that. Like, if you weren't excited by the lore of the game, you would be excited going to get that claw, right? And going deep into that dungeon. The first time you go into a Skyrim dungeon, there's really not much like it, you know? It's, especially for its time when this game was made, you know, 10, 15 years ago, the dungeon crawling that you can do in this game is unbelievable, and you really don't get to do that in the first part, the very first mission that we talked about, the Unbound mission. But you do it right away. They send you right in the dungeon, right into a cave in the second mission, in the Bleak Falls Barrow mission. And again, I think the developers are trying to tell you something. Like, this game is not just going to be a linear game about, you know, the Band of Talos and the Civil War. I mean, that's all cool. And of course, there's going to be this dragon thing, and that's cool. And the main story is going to be sick, and they're telling you that, right? They're telling you from the very beginning that the main story is going to be cool. But then, like, right away, they hit you with, yeah, but look at everything else you're going to be able to do in this game. And they send you down into Bleak Falls Barrow. And you start to go down, and you start to fight the Draugr. And it keeps going, and it gets really cool, and there's booby traps, and then there's puzzles. So those of you that are into puzzles, right, first time you played Skyrim, you might not have anticipated that. But you get down there, and you do that first puzzle where there's the three animals, and you have to spin the little rocks to get them right to go through the gate. And I think the first time when I came up on that, I thought, oh, okay, this game's going to have some puzzles. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. That's different. So again, that's Bethesda and them showing it off. And then you get even further down and you talk to the guy that's stuck in the web. I can't remember this guy's name. If anybody knows the name, let me know. But you get stuck in... He gets stuck in the web, and you have to kill this big spider, which is kind of like your first boss fight of the game, which is pretty cool. So not only are they introducing you to the idea of dungeon delving, but then they're also saying, here's a boss fight for the first time. And you actually get damaged. Like, if you don't swing your weapon correctly and move around a little bit, that big spider could kill you. I mean, it's not designed to, but it could, right? And so, you know, you get that interaction. And then you kind of get the humor of him trying to run away, like, you'll never catch me, and then, of course, like, he stops at a certain point, so you can't not catch him. And then you're able to off him, and then you get the golden claw. And then there's another puzzle on top of that, right, where you know, if you didn't quite know, if that was the first time you were playing Skyrim, you know, back in the day when the first time you played, or if you're a new person and you've never played Skyrim, it's pretty cool to get to the end, and, like, I know, obviously, because I've played that mission a million times. Trying to get through this game as many times as I have without actually successfully doing it. I've done that quest so many times. And so, you get there, and if you didn't know to look at the claw, you might have to look it up, you might not have been sure, and when this game came out, people probably weren't sure exactly how to do that. But, you know, you look at that claw, and you see the three animals, you're like, I get it now. But I'm sure that was a pretty cool revelation for folks who did not know how that worked at the time. Yeah, I'm sure that was pretty cool. I think my favorite part was the guy stuck in the web. It just adds a little bit of humor, and it's always funny to see him try to run away. First of all, also, why is he running that way? That's the other thing that I want to know. If you just got pulled down from your death, almost getting eaten by a spider, and someone's right there, and you know you have something valuable that you don't want them to take, like, why not go out the way you came in? Like, why go deeper where you know... I mean, I guess there is an exit at the end, right? There's a second exit that maybe the player doesn't know about. But I always find it funny that he runs towards the sanctum and not, you know, he doesn't leave the way he came in, which is a little odd to me. But yeah, Bleak Falls Barrow quest introduces you to dungeon crawling right away in the game. If you're not as thrilled about the story, it immediately plugs you in to the dungeon aspect of the game, which is really cool. And, you know, sets the tone for kind of the side missions you're going to do in this game moving forward. And it also teaches you how to find these places, right? Teaches you how to use your compass, teaches you how to get up a mountain, go the right way. There's a lot that mission does for the game that I think is underappreciated. And so just like the Unbound mission that we tend to kind of laugh off because we've all done it so many times, I think that Bleak Falls Barrow mission, it's charming, it's got a couple puzzles, it's your first delve, it gets you used to combat, there's your first boss fight there. I think it's a really well-designed mission. As someone who's played it a couple times but has never played this game all the way through, I don't have as much Skyrim experience as maybe my brother does or some of my friends do. And so, yeah, it's just kind of an interesting mission and a good one to start with. But if you want to talk more about these stories and you want to hear more about these stories, come on by Millrod33 on Twitch, on Kick, on YouTube. Let's have those conversations. Let's talk about those stories together. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you in the next one. If you liked the video, don't be afraid to subscribe and like. Thank you.